Trying to be doing that bullshit. On to good news. BS with Brian Simpson. Welcome back, everybody. Are there any elephants in the room that we need to discuss? No.
Any hot topics?
Anything big in the zeitgeist that we need to bring up? No.
I don't think so.
If you want an update from the Monitor situation, they're still investigating. The investigation is ongoing. Y'all will be the first ones to know when I know.
It's like an internal affairs thing where they have to investigate themselves.
Right. Yeah, like Blizzard.
Yeah.
Blizzard investigate. Did you see that? Blizzard.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, Blizzard is a gaming company. If you heard me complaining about Diablo, I mean, they made some great games in the past. I mean, Overwatch was their last fun game that didn't feel quite gross. No, maybe StarCraft too. But the point is, their company was under a lot of scrutiny because there were just a shitload of sexual harassment complaints and just all manner of debauchery and whatnot. And a lot of their employees complained about it. Not only that, but the bad working conditions and industry crunch and all of this shit. And amongst all that, Blizzard also they also released Diablo Immortal, which has been nicknamed Diablo Immoral. For whatever reason, it's not coming out in China on time. I'm thinking, the party is like, I think somebody made a reference to Winnie the Pooh or something, which I guess is in China is it's disrespecting the leader, the party leader, because they were making fun of him by saying he looks like Winnie the Pooh. So if you mention Winnie the Pooh on any Chinese on China's internet, they coming for your motherfucking neck and your pocketbooks.
Wait, they don't let you talk about Winnie the Pooh at all in China?
No. If you reference Winnie the Pooh, they coming for you.
Wow.
That's why the catchphrase. That's why the episode starts with China be on some bullshit, because they do. They like like when you hear. I mean, we all of us are really, but it's just interesting when you hear the kind of shit that is upsetting over there. It's like, hold on, what'd you say? You said Winnie the Pooh? Okay, your whole family up out of here.
That's hilarious. Apparently, it's because they compare Xi Jinping to Winnie the Pooh because of a picture that he took that was taken of him with Obama, where Obama looks like Tigger. This is wild.
Oh wow!
So this goes all the way back to 2015.
Okay, yeah.
He's been pissed off about this.
You know what it is, dog. You can't mention Pooh. You can't mention Winnie. You got to play it off. But also, I think some countries are requiring anti-addiction measures in these gambling games or whatever. But then on top of that, amidst all the controversy, Blizzard did an internal investigation and concluded that they did nothing wrong. Surprise. You ever notice how those internal investigations always turn up like that?
Case closed.
Yeah.
Case closed.
The Washington football team did the same thing. They investigated themselves and concluded that there was nothing to see here. Police tend to do that. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, we did it internal. What the fuck is an internal investigation? That's such a ridiculous thing that we let companies get away with.
It's convenient how that shit works out.
Yeah, listen, we looked into our wrongdoing and it turns out we were doing the right thing. Yeah, and then they re-elected their CEO. So, that's if you had any hope that humanity is even slightly on the no, down to the core, even down to our pastimes are corrupted. Video games are corrupted. So it's a wrap for all that serious shit.
All your faves are problematic.
Yeah, I did hear of a gas station owner, and I forget which city he's in. I want to say somewhere in Arizona. Who was charging like 30 cents less than everybody else for gas. Like he was giving it away at cost.
Wow.
Somebody gonna kill that motherfucker. He said it's
Be
something.
interesting to. I'm not sure which. Arizona gas station owner selling at a loss.
Yeah, he was Sikh.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's saying it was something to do with his Sikh values.
Well, what's interesting is like the actual gas stations themselves. Their margins are pretty thin on gas. Once you take out the cost of the gasoline that they get from the distributor, and then advertising and the taxes that get taken out and everything, the margins are pretty thin. That's why there was such a huge push towards, selling products in the convenience stores and stuff like that. That's where their margins are.
Well,
the cheap gas gets you in the door.
Joe
right?
Biden was talking about having Congress vote to suspend the federal gas tax.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is why we can't have old people running shit. It's like it's almost like this motherfucker ain't. It's like it's been so long since he lived in the real world that he thinks that's a solution.
When was the last time Joe Biden bought a gallon of
Right.
gas?
When's the last time you pumped some gas, Joe Biden? Come on, man. You know goddamn well that if you suspend the federal gas tax, all that's gonna happen is the price is gonna stay the same and that money gonna get pocketed.
Yeah.
That's not relieving nothing. You fucking God. Oh. And I guess nobody thought about, like, now there's this full court press to go electric and get off of foreign fossil fuels and all those things. So I believe Obama was trying to do that like a long time ago.
Sure.
I think he foresaw that
Obama was trying to do a lot of things.
We was going to end up in a situation like this. I don't know, man, because I go back and forth between, like I told you, I'm trying not to be cynical, but either Obama was trying to do a lot of shit that Republicans were stopping him from doing, or they're all in the same circle jerk, eyes wide shut, and they there's always a scapegoat on the other side,
mm-hmm.
So they don't have to keep their promises. I don't know. Maybe it's probably a bit of both. It's probably like, I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna actually do these things, but I'm gonna promise these things so that you'll elect me so I can do these things, and then I'm gonna act like I can't do these things. Maybe they all do that.
It's sort of like, if you look at like municipal politics, there are straight up scam artist grifter politicians who are just taking money out of kitty, right? That's one form of corruption. But then there's a softer form of corruption, which is they make the deals with the people they got to make the deals with to stay in power, and then they deregulate some, like the energy sector, so that after they get out of office, they can get $500,000 to come and talk to them for 20 minutes at a luncheon or whatever. That's like a softer form of corruption that I think ends up touching pretty much every elected official,
Right.
And you can make the distinction between the hard and the soft version of it, but in reality, how much difference does that really make?
Yeah, because I feel like you can't get, like, maybe you can be a representative,
mm-hmm.
and be clean, but you can't. They won't let you be a senator. Senator and up, they like, yo, you gotta fuck this goat on tape in HD in this back room, and then before we swear you in, so we all got the same dirt.
That's what all that skull and bone shit was about.
Oh yeah, it's true. They all, and I think it used to be more prevalent because you used to see way less. You used to only see public fighting amongst politicians during election time.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's pretty much 24/7 election cycle, so that it's 24/7. Have I told you my theory about how CNN destroyed? How they're because they started cable news.
Sure. Yeah.
And cable news was the first time news was 24/7, and there ain't that much news, So right. they had to start, just putting every little fucking thing in the news and making much to do about every little thing, and with the onset of 24-hour news, it made politics 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because now it's like, well, I'm not gonna let my opponent go on and get airtime. So it turned into this thing where it's like there's no breaks from it now.
Right.
Now it's always election season. It's always election time. 24. That's why I had to stop, man. Like I'm such a bad liberal now because I just don't. I pay attention to the big things, but I don't have time for the everyday. You know, I vaguely know who certain people are and shit like that. Like I did a podcast. I was a guest on Love It or Leave It a few months, which is a political podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know that when I said I would do it, but you know, it was fine. It was a lot of fun, but it was like they were showing me pictures of people, and it was like I barely know who these fucking people are. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I only know who she was because she says such stupid shit that like it goes viral. You know what I mean?
Well, that's like one of the sick, perverse incentives that we have now is that if you're on the left, you only hear about the stuff from the right if it's the wildest, most conspiracy mongering,
and vice versa,
proto-fascist, reactionary shit, and vice versa.
Yeah, and so it's like that's really our problem too. Is like we don't pay enough attention to the other side, and we only hear from their crazy people. Because you know, think about the craziest lefty that you know what I'm saying. You encounter them and you just stay away from them, but you don't tell them to shut the fuck up. You don't disagree with them because you mostly agree with them.
I would also say I don't really interact with them. I'm pretty radical. Most people would consider me radical, but I don't really interact even with like radical friends who are crazy except online.
Yeah, but
like it's like Twitter.
Radical to me is like people planning to blow up Hummer dealerships and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean we probably should do that. I don't have the balls to do it.
Yeah, it's like, and what would that even change? First of all, that would hurt the environment. You know, the explosion.
Well, I think that, well, you know, I mean, if we smashinated certain people on certain boards, and just every time they put somebody new in there, it's like that person also got. Yeah, like, that would probably change some things.
If we had a serial killer that only fucked with rich people.
If we had a Ted Kaczynski who didn't have a snitch for a brother-in-law or a brother or whatever he was.
What? Who's Ted? Oh, the Unabomber?
The Unabomber.
Wait a minute, his brother snitched on him?
I think it was his brother. It was either his brother or his brother-in-law.
Did his brother know from the jump, or did his brother just discover?
His brother sort of knew. Here, I'll look it up, but it's like his brother was the one that tipped off, I believe, the FBI, and said like, "Hey, I think this might be my brother." Where
was he sending bombs to?
He was sending bombs to people that were like on the boards of, because he was an eco-terrorist. Like people forget that he was an eco-terrorist.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, and he believed. I mean, honestly, like this is dangerous to say in public. But
wait a minute, eco-terrorist sounds like somebody that is trying to hurt the environment. But you're saying he was an environmental activist using terrorism.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Let's see, who did Ted Kaczynski target? And he sent one bomb embedded in a copy of Sloan Wilson's novel Ice Brothers. The FBI theorized that Kaczynski's crimes involved the theme of nature, trees, and wood. He often included bits of a tree branch and bark in his bombs. What's interesting is like Ted Kaczynski wrote this manifesto, and his manifesto was pretty prescient about certain things, about how like technology was going to change our relationship to the environment and to work and to one another. And he just took it to its logical conclusion, I guess, and started sending bombs to people.
That's what's crazy about. That's what's so funny about humanity, right? Is you could be the most horrible person in the world and have done the most asinine shit, and people gonna still read your manifesto. Somebody gonna read it. If it's because you remember Dorner? We were talking about him last week, or that went around trying to kill cops.
Chris Dorner.
Yeah, and his manifesto is pretty much unhinged right from the jump. Like it's at the point where it's like, because every time I try to read a manifesto, it starts out with me going, "Well, it's not okay." Like it's eventually they say something so nuts that I'm like, I'm not reading the rest of this.
So a lot of the initial people that he sent bombs to were professors. So professors at various universities.
But how many of them went off?
A few of them. So let's see.
So let me guess. The first one didn't go off, and that was and the second one went to the professor that taught him how to make bombs.
Let's see. Yeah. Hoist by your own petard. Yeah, you teach crazy people how to make bombs. He sent it to. He did send it to one of his supervisors. One of his first one. Kaczynski's second bomb was sent nearly one later. The first one, again, Northwestern University. The bomb, concealed inside a cigar box and left on a table, caused minor injuries to graduate student John Harris when he opened it. There was another one that went off that blew up. That blew up in the face of Percy Wood, who was the president of United Airlines. But he sent bomb. He's basically like a neo-Luddite, right? He was anti-technology, and his anti-technology perspective came from sort of this, like, it was both a social perspective because he's kind of a fascist, and thought that like humanity was getting away from its roots or whatever, but it was also like a pro-environmental thing. So some people consider him an eco-terrorist, but he was sending bombs in the mail to both researchers who were working in technology because he thought the technology that they were developing was dangerous, but also to people that were like CEOs and board members of large companies, large technology and transportation and energy companies.
And he lived out in the woods. See, to me, this is why I don't get why did these people slip by the FBI. It's like, people that live out in the woods, that's at least worth looking into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
he was like a separatist.
Yeah, fine. But every time somebody want to be like, yo, I want to be away from roads and electricity, and they ain't start out that way, like leave the Amish alone. You know what I mean? But
right.
But if you just decide you don't want pussy and food, and you're gonna just go out and just be away from it, because I believe that the town he was near, nobody even knew that he lived out there, right?
Yeah, he was just out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm reading here that the Washington Post published Industrial Society and Its Future, which was basically his manifesto, and Kaczynski's brother David Kaczynski recognized the writing style and reported it to the FBI.
Wow.
And so that's kind of how the FBI eventually figured out that it was Ted Kaczynski, and they, hunted him.
We don't even live in that kind of world no more, where somebody I recognize the writing style. That's a rap. No,
because it'd just be Twitter ramblings.
Right. It would just be catchphrases and yeah. So what is this shit you sent me about? Cory Doctorow says the sex industry pioneered. This is on Twitter from Cory Doctorow. I don't know, who is that? Why does that name sound familiar to me?
He's pretty well known. He's an author, journalist, activist.
Okay. He says the sex industry has pioneered every new communication tool since the printing press. In my own lifetime, I've watched it take the lead in VCRs, desktop publishing, BBSs, digital text, digital images, digital videos, live streaming services, cryptocurrency, and it would be easy to conclude that being interested in sex is somehow correlated with being fascinated by technology, but that's wrong. While there are lots of sex workers and sex industry participants who have an intimate fascination with technology, there's no reason to think that being into sex is a predictor of being into tech. And yet, sex workers are the vanguard of every technological revolution. Well, think about the other groups that make up that vanguard. Political radicals, kids, drug users, and terrorists. There's some overlap amongst members of these groups. There's a lot of kid terrorists out there. But their most salient shared trait isn't personnel, it's exclusion. Kids, drug users, political radicals, sex workers, and terrorists are all unwelcome in mainstream society. They struggle to use its money, etc. What is the point he's trying to make? This is 50 tweets. Well, look, I don't know what his overall point was, but I think it's. I guess he's mostly right. Sex workers are the vanguard, but like I was telling you earlier, I think that's just because pussy sells everything. It's every time something is invented, people gonna try to find put porn on. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and it's true.
Well, but
streaming was porn was the first streaming thing.
Yeah.
It was the first thing I've seen in the VR shit. People, like everyone, or maybe it's that early technological adopters are all perverts.
Maybe. Well, what he's saying is that it's not that early technological adopters are all perverts. He's saying that that perverts are part of a constellation of groups that are outsiders, and that sex workers are outsiders because society doesn't recognize sex work as legitimate, and it tries to hide it. Even though
it's literally
everybody.
Like I said, pussy's everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything. It's the only industry that's still booming no matter what the economy's doing. People are paying for pussy.
Well, look, the other thing that he mentions is drugs, right? So, lots of people do fucking drugs, right? We pretend as if being a drug user is some sort of aberration, but the reality is that drug users are also early adopters of technology because they need some way to avoid the opprobrium of the rest of society.
See, I got to push back on that a bit because I don't know. I mean, drug dealers may early adopt technology, but I don't know very many crackheads that's got the latest iPhone and shit like that.
Well, I think it's more. Yeah, I mean, if you want to call it drug dealers, sure. But I'm talking about
a dope fiend with a Twitch channel out here.
Yeah, but the first time I ever used cryptocurrency was
to buy drugs.
Let's say hypothetically.
Right.
Let's say hypothetically, the earliest uses that someone like me might use cryptocurrency for.
Yeah, but again,
Web 3.0.
That's the drug dealers compensating. I mean,
I wasn't dealing drugs hypothetically.
Right, but I mean, the fact that it was available to buy for crypto.
Sure.
That starts with somebody willing to sell it for crypto.
Oh yeah. But then I also had to hypothetically read up on Web 3.0 and dark web shit and stuff like that to know how to transact. In that,
true.
It basically creates. There's an incentive for sort of a gray or black market there's an incentive to develop technological innovations and adopt technological innovations that allow a gray market or a black market to exist parallel to the socially acceptable markets, right? And that goes for like he's talking about political dissidents, political radicals, kids, the drug trade, drug market, and sex work. So
he's saying people that are on the outsides of society, are more incentivized they're the way for new technology to creep into society, right? Because all the people that aren't in those groups still do all those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or everyone that's not obviously in one of those groups still does all those things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, like I said, because that's true. I mean, every new technology has come about from one of those things. Like I remember, when, so it was around 2000, I want to say 2003 or 4. It was like right when broadband started being available like everywhere, or right when it started to like roll out, where like, you know, dial-up was disappearing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I remember we got broadband in the barracks, and I'll never forget, because it's like you said, the incentive to do the means to do something illegal. And actually, it wasn't really illegal this time. It was a gray area, which is funny because this is about the Gray album. So there was a time where Danger Mouse, who just dropped a new track with Black Thought, is awesome. But Danger Mouse, producer, he took. So Jay-Z's The Black Album was at the time everyone thought was his last album.
Sure.
And he released like an a cappella version of it. right? So then Danger Mouse took the Beatles' White Album and made beats using only samples from the Beatles' White Album, and then put Jay-Z's Black Album vocals on top of it. Called it the Gray Album. It was awesome. It's still one of the best things I've seen happen. And, you know, he gave a copy or two away. It kind of spread on little message boards on the internet. And, you know, that was pretty much it. He didn't make no money off of it or nothing like that. But, you know, there were probably, you know, 100 or 2 copies out there, right? And then he got a cease and desist from, you know, Sony or whoever owned what, right? And I think Sony owned the Beatles shit, maybe. I don't know who it was, but he got a cease and desist from one of the big dogs. And he had to take it down or do something like that, and it completely fucking pissed off the internet. This is another thing. It's like, you can't stop technology. You can't stop so what happened is, they online in the forums, they organized what they call Gray Tuesday.
Okay.
And so it was this whole campaign that was probably like 2-3 months long, just teaching as many people as possible what BitTorrent was and how to use it. And we were all going to download the album on Gray Tuesday, like this online protest. It worked, but it also opened the floodgates, because this is how I learned about it. I was like, oh yeah, they fucking with Danger Mouse? What is BitTorrent? Oh shit, you can get all kind of shit on here. And I started telling them, hey yo, did you know about this? Blah, blah. And that's what
it was. EMI apparently was they gave the cease and desist. Okay,
yeah. So it's like, I remember that, like that was a cultural moment, because that is the moment that started this crazy everybody downloading shit for free. You know what I mean? And the industry wasted billions of dollars to try to stop it, and now they give it away.
You know? Well, so that's the other thing that the Cory Doctorow, the Twitter thread is really a version of his blog post, because he has a blog called pluralistic.net, which is awesome. Like, I highly recommend people read it. But one of the things that the reason why he's talking about this is because there's always this bait and switch that these large tech companies, these large tech platforms use, which is their technology is adopted, promoted, stress tested, improved, innovated upon by people like sex workers, like drug dealers, like criminals, like political radicals. And then as soon as it gets to a stage where it goes from being this niche technology or this niche platform to being widely used, then they start kicking all the people that helped build it off.
Oh, right.
Right? And so the thing that he's talking about in this blog post is this woman who is a former sex worker, but is a big proponent of like sex positivity movement and helping achieve equal rights for sex workers and stuff like that. She was part of this movement that had a series of lectures about sex work and the legal ramifications of sex work and stuff like that. And it was on YouTube, and YouTube kicked it off because it got caught in all of their anti-sex filters and stuff like that.
Oh,
right. So it's the same thing it's kind of the same thing that almost happened with OnlyFans. OnlyFans was only popular because of all the sex stuff, and then remember, like earlier this year when they were talking about no longer having sex stuff on it,
right?
And everybody was like, "Yeah, well then we're not going to use OnlyFans." Like, okay, never mind.
Like, what do you think? What did they think was going to happen? Like, yeah, I love how because it's really, that's the only reason people were there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's where the vast majority of their income was coming from. And it was like, can't you look at the books and see that? Like, well, now we're going to be more legitimate means, you know, we're going to have it so that, you know, celebrities, it's like, you can go see a celebrity anywhere. You know, I mean, listen, there's a handful of simps that's willing to give money to watch a celebrity, like, talk somewhere else or whatever. But, you know, the only reason I've ever logged on to OnlyFans was to see some titties. And then I was like, oh, I can see better titties than these
on
porn. So like, if it ain't porn here, why we here? What are we talking about?
Right.
Yeah, because like because whatever money you get on OnlyFans, you can get a Pornhub premium. You know what I mean? You can get a whatever website you like premium account, or you can go to the gym. I don't know. Anything but being on. I never got it. I never got the appeal of OnlyFans. You know, it's like because well, I do get it because if you have an obsession with a specific person and you would like to see them naked, I guess that's the appeal of OnlyFans. But the truth is, it's like there's not much to that. Like once you see somebody naked, you know, I don't know. I think it's
the tan line phenomenon, right?
What does that mean?
Like, there's something sexy about tan lines because you're seeing skin that in your brain you're like, oh, that's supposed to be covered up.
Oh, that's supposed to be. Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. So there's an exclusivity to it. Even because sometimes you see like tan line shit and it's just like they're still wearing a bikini even, right? But you can see the tan lines or something sexy about it because you feel like you're seeing something that you're not normally allowed to see. And I think OnlyFans fits that niche.
There's definitely something sexual about it. At least there can be. Yeah. So it's his point. I mean, but what does he say the solution is though?
He's saying that we need more platforms so that you can't have these like blue-nosed prudes that are in control of like YouTube, let's say, and if they decide that your lecture series about sex work is not fit for public consumption, that effectively erases it from the public discourse.
Yeah. Bro, like this is the same. Maybe I do love to toot my own horn, but it's the same argument I was making about kicking Trump off Twitter, right? Where it's like it felt good at the time because because I think sometimes liberals and conservatives are like they're so obsessed with owning the libs or shitting on Republicans or whatever that they get short-sighted, and it's like it felt good to kick Trump off Twitter, but it's like, but now you've legitimized the practice of them deciding who gets to speak publicly. You know what I mean?
But here's the counter to that. The counter to that is they already had that power. Well,
right, but you're co-signing that action as correct. You know what I mean? Whereas because when that was happening, people went, the justification they had that they used was it's a private platform, they can do whatever they want, right? And it's like, yeah, but that's disingenuous, right? Because like YouTube's a private platform, they can do what they want, but is what they're doing correct? Is it right? It's like no, because they're effectively silencing these people. It's you know what I'm saying? You can't argue against one and be for the other, because then so it's like I agree with this. But I think you have to keep that same energy when it's the other side, because that's the only fair thing is that either everything is sacred or nothing is sacred. Like either we can all say what we want, where we want, or we live in this world where, well, some things are okay and some things aren't. But then who gets to pick? Who gets to decide? Well, whoever happens to be the CEO of this or that at the time. It's like, I don't want that. I'd rather get the public backlash or whatever from saying whatever I want than have somebody deciding what's appropriate.
The problem is that when you're talking about a platform, because I agree with you. I think that, it's a private company, they can do what they want, is a terrible fucking, terrible argument. Because then you're functionally saying that if a private company achieves a monopoly, then they should just be able to control an entire sector of American life. And that's fucking insane.
Now listen, I think you should be able to, you should still have to face consequences for the things you say.
Sure.
If those things lead to something consequential, but you should be able to say whatever you want to say.
The tricky part is that when you have like social media, for instance, they tend towards monopoly because there's network effects. Right? When you join YouTube and you're watching on YouTube or you make content for YouTube like we're doing right now, you are actually enhancing the value proposition of YouTube, right? And you can't just bring your audience from one platform to another. You can do it a little bit because you can advertise your, you can advertise your Instagram on Twitter or vice versa or whatever, but you can't just, like, Twitter and Instagram each have a vested interest in making sure that your incentives are aligned with theirs, so that you only build your audience on that one platform, and they have control over your access to your own audience, right? So the issue for me is not necessarily whether YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter make the wrong decision, because there's got to be some sort of limit, right, on like what you can say. Like we have that even in just free speech legislation, like in constitutional law. Like there are limits on what you can say. They're pretty minimal in the United States.
Well, you can't say things that directly lead to harm.
Right.
Like immediate harm. I don't mean this fucking, 6 steps removed harm that people try to do nowadays when it's something they don't like to hear.
The issue, though, is that you still have, I mean, you can tell me what your thoughts are on this, but there is like still the Nazi problem of, if you...
The Nazi problem?
Yeah, the Nazi problem. It's a Karl Popper thing, right? It's it's the tolerance of intolerance type thing, right? So it's if you have a public square, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. And in the public square, anybody can get up on the soapbox and they can say whatever they want, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't kick anybody out for any content-based things that they're saying. You might kick them out for directly threatening somebody, I'm going to kick your fucking ass or something like that. But they can go up and they can spout off bullshit about wanting about anti-Semitic conspiracy theories or genocidal thoughts or whatever, right? Okay. What's going to happen is number one, you're creating a situation where nobody who that is threatening to is going to want to be in that public square. So they leave, right? And then the people that want to hear that shit are going to be more fucking Nazis. So the percentage of people in that public square who are Nazis is going to go up until eventually the entire thing is just taken over by Nazis and nobody else wants to be there. And so the line that an organization or a company like Twitter has to toe, right, is they have to worry about, if we allow people to just spout Nazi bullshit on our platform, how long until all the people who don't want to fucking hear Nazi bullshit leave the platform and we just become the Nazi platform?
I mean, okay. Well, there's a couple problems with that argument. To me, it's because the other side of that is, if you say, because to me it's all about who are you giving power to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Because if everyone on the platform has equal say and equal time on the soapbox,
sure,
or equal access to the soapbox, then it's on you to counter the Nazi, right? Because the alternative is that anytime anyone is uncomfortable and doesn't want to be there, that we acquiesce, we make it safer and more sanitized until nothing even remotely controversial is being said.
Well, but isn't there something in between those? Isn't there a way to draw lines?
The only thing that works is if everyone can say whatever they want. As long as, like I said, as long as everyone has equal access to the soapbox, that's the only thing that works. It's like people just have to get offended. People have to just get their feelings hurt or get their sensibilities offended, because the only other alternative is, who gets to say who's a Nazi? Who gets to say when the line has been crossed? Because there are obvious Nazis, right?
Sure.
And then there's the more subtle, sinister shit. But there's a line. There's a line when you cross into Nazi. But who gets to say what that line is? You have to give that power to somebody. And so the question is, how do we decide who can handle that power? How do we decide that they're going to use it responsibly? We can't, and they won't. Right, so the only alternative is to allow the dangerous situation, or the possibility of the dangerous situation, so that good people, that sounds so fucking childish. No, but so that look, I think all ideas have to have equal chance to get into people's minds, because there's no other way that works that's fair. There's no other way that works that can't be abused.
Well, I think you're conflating two different things here.
Okay.
I think one is you can't avoid drawing the line. You have to draw the line somewhere, right? So like even if you just draw the line at like you can't verbally like call for an individual to be assassinated, okay, right? Or you can't threaten someone directly. Obviously that's a line. That's a very easy bar to meet, right?
Okay.
But that obviously allows for a lot of pretty vile fucking shit that people could profess without running afoul of that rule, right? So they can meet that bar, but they're still spouting a bunch of vile bullshit, right? And as a society, like, do we have the right to say, no, these concepts are off the table. Genocidal concepts are off the table. Fascist concepts are off the table. The idea of a racial hierarchy is off the table, right? Can we draw those lines, or are we not allowed to draw those lines? Because right now, those lines are being drawn by a private company that is only amenable or respondent to financial incentives. The only reason why Twitter would ever kick somebody off their platform is because they're afraid that person is going to create, I hesitate to use this word, but like I can't think of a better one, like a toxic environment that large amounts of people will want to leave.
But what you just said kind of proves my point, right? Is what were the three things you said? Genocidal concepts,
racial hierarchy,
and what was the last one?
I don't remember what. I'm talking about.
So that brings me to my point. Like, okay, have you noticed that nowadays the thing that racists like to do is say that calling them racist is racist?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, so it would be easy for me to come on here and go, well, no one should be allowed to be racist up there. You know what I mean? Because that sounds good to everyone's sensibilities. But then it's like, okay, so then what happens when that guy feels like I'm being racist? Even though it's ridiculous, like I'm calling him out for being racist, and he's saying I'm being racist.
You have to define in that instance what you mean when you say racism. So I think that
who gets to make that definition?
Well, but that's the thing. Right now, Twitter gets to make that definition, and that's what I'm saying is fucked up. I'm saying that we need some way for us as a society to make that definition. So we
already have that.
What do you mean?
We already have a means to decide when people have crossed the line. You know, it's a social thing. It's like we have violence, we have social people being shunned, that sort of thing. I think letting the government get involved is a dangerous game.
Well, I'm not saying that therefore the government needs to get involved. That's a leap. I'm talking about there could be alternative means of enforcing sort of a social pact, right? So one thing that you're talking about is like in real life, if somebody somebody comes into the bar and starts like spouting off bullshit, we all fucking shun them, and then if they really like get wild about it, then they get kicked out. Right.
Or they might catch hands. They might catch hands. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So what I'm saying is that we have, if you want to call it a technology, we have a technology. We have a decision tree that factors into that makes it so that like when I go out to a fucking bar, it's very low chance that somebody's going to be standing there with a fucking swastika jacket on and like spouting a bunch of white supremacist bullshit, right? Because they'll get their ass kicked, or they'll get kicked out of the bar, or they'll just be fucking ignored or made fun of by everybody else in the bar. The problem is we have the technology of social media is new. We don't have those same social consequences.
Well, the problem, one of the big problems with social media is the anonymity.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people are. We don't, because the original argument for the anonymity online was did it protect marginalized groups, but it's mostly just abused by people,
Mm-hmm.
I know, because this blows my mind, and I guess this just makes me show my age, but it wasn't that long ago that, I just found out that it is wildly common amongst the younger kids to have multiple accounts.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just something crazy people did, and then I hear the young kids casually going, "Yeah, so I put that on main. I put that on my." I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like,
Instagram or Instagram.
Yeah. I have a main account in the back of. I was like, "Oh, okay." See, and so some people are just provocateurs. They'll start some shit, and then they'll they'll reply with their other account to themselves and make it look like an argument, and then it's like that's the problem to me with social media. It's like you don't know who you don't. No one, because it's this talk about accountability, but nobody wants to be attached to the words that they're saying. Well, some people are, but it's so easy to not be. It's so easy to just be able to say whatever you want and not have those words attached to you at all. But no one wants to address that. They want, it's like under the guise of protecting people. And I don't know what the solution is, because, I remember the wild, wild west of the internet, man, and there wasn't none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? You because this is the other argument against Twitter, against people saying that like awful things being said on Twitter lead. Because if that was the case, it's like 4chan would have ended the world.
Well, some people can argue that they kind of, as like a lot of 4chan bullshit has seeped out into mainstream discourse and has had effects on real world politics, and
yeah.
But even separate that out. Even separate that, like, let's pretend as if there really is no people don't commit real world crimes or acts of violence because of what they read on Twitter or whatever. Let's just assume that for a second, right? Then the question becomes, okay, within the like bubble or the community of Twitter, what should be acceptable discourse?
Everything.
Everything. You think everything?
Everything.
So
everything that is not direct violence.
So that's a line that you're drawing. So then my question is,
yeah, because that's already illegal. Because to me, it's like what you're saying on Twitter is no different than what you're saying in real life. It's like if I walk up and go, I'm going to fucking kill you on the street, that's against the law already. Okay,
let me use a different example. So let's say if you're playing Call of Duty, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're allowed to say fucking anything, then have you ever been in a Call of Duty?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, especially the OG ones.
Right.
OG lobbies.
So what ends up proliferating in those spaces? Misogynistic bullshit, racist bullshit, Nazi shit. Like, and so I stopped playing.
It can, yeah.
But I think it almost always does. The only times where it doesn't happen is when they say, hey, you can't say the N-word in the lobby or during a match. You can't say X, Y, and Z in this lobby, or else you get permabanned, right? And all your shit gets taken away. So the question with something like Twitter is like, if this is a modern day public square, right, where like ultimately what is the goal of Twitter?
You can mute people on Call of Duty and Twitter.
Yeah.
You can just not look at the stuff.
But I think what you're not taking on board is that Twitter itself, or a Call of Duty lobby or whatever, any place where lots of people, especially strangers, can anonymously or semi-anonymously get together and say whatever the fuck they want, that environment becomes really unfun and really uninformative real fucking fast.
Right. But here's what you're missing.
So the argument could be like, that doesn't matter. Like, that's fine. It doesn't have to be informative. It doesn't have to be fun for everybody. That's totally fine. That can be your argument. But then you have to make that has to be the side that you're coming down on, right?
No. Because here's where the analogy don't line up.
Okay.
Because Call of Duty and other games like it, they actually ban the word nigga. Like Twitter, you can say nigga on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Twitter ain't policing that.
Right.
This is being because this is what makes me suspicious about this idea is the extreme examples are being used to justify the move, but we all know the actual power is going to be used for more subtle shit. You know, so Twitter isn't stopping people from saying racist shit.
Sure.
The Twitter having the power to ban people is purely so that people can get rid of their political enemies for the slightest transgression, not for these extreme Nazis. Like that's what's being used in the argument. Mm-hmm. But who's been banned from Twitter? No one's been banned from Twitter for saying nigga. People have been banned from Twitter for for having different political ideas or being on the other side of whatever politics the CEO of Twitter has. You know what I mean? But no one's been.
I don't agree with you on that, because I don't think that. I think if you look at who gets banned from Twitter, it's people that threaten the bag. It's that. I think. So to take Donald Trump for instance, I think that the main reason why Twitter banned Trump was because they were afraid that if the Democrats got into power and they still had Donald Trump on there spouting conspiracy theories, that would invite legislation or regulation concerning Twitter. So they had to protect the bag.
But that may be.
It has nothing to do with Jack Dorsey's personal political enemies or anything like that.
Well, that may be Twitter's justification. But all of the, what does Twitter call their people? Tweeters? All the people on Twitter that supported the move supported it because it was Donald Trump.
Sure.
Right? Not because they were trying to protect, not because they were trying to stamp out racism or Nazis or, you know what I mean? It's like,
oh, sure.
So that.
I agree. I just want to. I don't make it clear. I agree with you on that. So I agree that the average person who cheered on Donald Trump's removal from Twitter is not talking about it at the level that we're talking about it right now.
Well, it's also my. So that's what I'm saying. I'm basically saying the same thing you're saying, but the opposite is you also have to accept that. You have to accept that in your quest to ban the most extreme shit, you're also okay with them using that power in a very sinister way to threaten. It's almost like the communist scare when it was like, if I called you a communist, even though at the time people were like legitimate, or if I call you a Nazi, you don't want me to call you a Nazi, do you? Because then you're gonna get looked into. It's like it's going to be used that way as well, and probably mostly that way, as a tool to kind of silence legitimate discourse. I mean, and we can argue later about whether Donald Trump's discourse is legitimately or in good faith, but it's going to be used it's going to be mostly used to silence people that we disagree with politically. That's really what this is all about. It's not about stopping horrible things from being said.
Well, in a roundabout way, I do agree with you, because I think that people don't want to see disagreement, right? People go to the question is, what do people go to Twitter for, right? They go to be entertained, and the best form of entertainment is to have their own values and thoughts and beliefs reflected back at them. Right. Or
to see people that don't share those beliefs suffer.
Yeah. Or that.
Yeah.
Or to reinforce those beliefs by seeing the most extreme form of their enemy. Right. The most unreasonable, indefensible version of the people and the people that they see as being on the other side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that in a roundabout way, you are 100% correct, because the people that are going to make the platform less fun for someone on the left, let's say, are just going to be more people on the right. More right wingers being on Twitter makes it less fun for left wingers on Twitter, and vice versa, right?
Right.
So Twitter is in this position where they are trying to, they want to have as many people on the platform as possible. So all of their rules and the capricious enforcement of those rules. What the fuck is that? Maybe they are shooting porn over there.
Where's that even coming from?
It sounds like it's coming from over there, but it's not coming up. It's not picking up on the microphones. I can just hear it through the walls.
Okay, it was not picking up on the mic.
Yeah, it's not on the mic. I mean, we're at an hour anyway. Let's do something fun.
You're right. This has been real serious. Rob is clearly a communist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've learned from this episode.
I feel like it's too early for me to be even having this conversation. I don't feel like I've done a good job of
okay.
communicating.
Did you put something in the?
Dude, let's talk about the elephant. I want to talk about this elephant.
Oh, the elephant. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, is it in here? Yeah, elephant kills woman in Odisha. Where the fuck is Odisha?
Yeah, Indian state located in eastern India.
Mayurbang district witnessed an intense act of violence by an elephant against a 7-year-old woman. Wow. Maya Murma, a resident of Raipal village, was ferociously attacked by an elephant in the forest nearby. According to the reports, the woman was taken to the hospital in critical condition where she later died. After the medical formalities and post-mortem, her family and neighbors brought her home for her last rites. Rites is a hyperlink for whatever reason. While the preparations were ongoing, the elephant returned in an extremely aggressive mood. The villagers ran for their lives while the tusker attacked the dead woman's corpse. Wow, trampling her furiously. That is...
That's revenge.
That's revenge right there.
That's savage, wild revenge.
The elephant then started roaring, inciting others in the herd to attack the village as well. It then attacked her house in the village, smashing it and killing the goats as well. The herd then attacked several other houses, consuming their grains. The villagers said they ran away when the herd came charging, and when they came back, they witnessed the elephant lifting the body and destroying it brutally. Elephant attacks are common in many parts of Odisha since a large area is covered with forest, although the reason for such an attack is not yet known. It has fired the discussion about the vengeful behavior of animals towards the humans who cross their territories. Elephants have a long memory, and several such attacks have been considered acts of revenge over the poaching activities. Listen, we ain't got to finish that. We know what this is about. It ain't no elephants attacks are coming. No, this bitch did something to that elephant.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
The whole village did.
Yeah, but for them to attack her in particular, for him to send her to the hospital, then come to her funeral and hit her again, then to destroy the village and desecrate the body, you know, to me, it's like, what else do we need to know? I don't know what that lady was doing. I don't know. Maybe she was the ringleader. You know, maybe she was the one in charge of some particular task of like cutting something off of them or something. But I don't know. But that lady, or case of mistaken identity, and she looked just like a bitch who did. It could be one or the other. You know, because they say elephants have a long memory. You know, it might not necessarily be a good one. It might not be, you know, photographic.
Mm-hmm.
But something about her scent, or no, because you don't even look the same when you dead. It must have been a scent. I don't know. But this elephant came. He came for her for a reason. This wasn't no random attack. Then he got the family involved. Yeah,
elephants can be mean, dude.
It's horrible. Well, yeah, they because they're.
I mean, I'm on their side.
They're intelligent animals. It's like you don't have to reach the level of human intelligence to. Like, I think the more intelligent an animal is, the more agency they require. You understand what I'm saying? It's like I need the smarter we are, the more we need the more I need to be like I don't even know how to say it. The more we need to be stimulated intellectually in a positive way, or the less we can take negative stimulation. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can put a fucking iguana in a cage in a fish tank.
Right.
And it's not gonna be pissed about it. You know what I mean? You can get a snake and keep them in a fucking big in a tank, and it's fine. It's not gonna be upset about it. But it's like you put an elephant in a cage. It's not happy.
Yeah, there's
you know
at every zoo there are experts who focus on they call it enrichment. Right, enrichment activities. Yeah. Right, so they'll take some food and they put it in like a giant ball, and it's like kind of a puzzle for the elephant or the rhino or like usually other like large intelligent mammals, apes and things like that. They need shit to do, right?
Yeah, I would love to know. I would love to get a follow up on that. You know, did they kill the elephant? They don't say.
No, they don't. They don't say. I don't think they do that because I think it's illegal for them to kill the elephants. But the problem is that the villages expand, the cities expand, and they start pushing into the areas that the elephants live.
Nah. That's not this problem.
No, that's in general.
Problem.
I'm saying in general.
But this bitch did something to this elephant. I believe that to the down in my soul. This ain't socioeconomic. This ain't about urban sprawl. This bitch did something to that. But what could she have done? Maybe, you know what? She probably stole one of his babies or something, or did something. Because what, short of killing it and taking its tusks or whatever, what could you do to an elephant that made it want to fucking murder you and your whole village?
I do like that it ate all the grain in the village.
Ate all the grain.
So maybe she took some food from it. Maybe she went and like got some berries out of the forest, and the elephant was like, "Bitch, those are my fucking berries."
And you know, and I feel bad. I'm being a little insensitive, you know, because I don't want nobody to die. But if they deserve it, you know, it's like ain't no elephants coming for me for a reason. You know, you don't. Very rarely is an animal going to attack you for no reason.
Yeah.
Either you near its babies, or it's starving, or you've done something to it. You know, and the ones that, you know, otherwise they'll warn you, hey man, fuck away from me, fuck out of here. You know, that's why everybody's been attacked by a bear, everybody that's been you know bitten by a snake. It's like they always warn your ass, you too fucking close. Yeah, it's like, why are you out here in my territory? You know, now maybe lions are different. I don't know, but
I think lions are mostly pretty lazy. I think they just don't want people in their shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's most animals. Yeah, they're like, just don't be in my shit. Where my food be, where I lay my head, I just need you up out of my shit. And maybe that's what this was. Maybe, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe they just. Maybe her hut was the one that went over the line.
Yeah, most animals' instincts are to conserve energy, right? It's hard out there in nature. Yeah. So they don't do dangerous shit they don't have to do. They don't expend energy they don't have to expend. They pretty much spend as much time as possible either finding food, eating food, or sleeping, or fucking.
Yeah, and see, animals, they know where to draw the line real easy. Yeah. He's like, bitch, I need your house gone. I need you up out of here.
They definitely have a strong sense of community because he trumpeted out the fucking horn of Gondor or whatever, and the rest of the herd came and fucked up the whole village.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet she did something to one of its babies or its mate or some. Yeah, at least that's what I'm going with, so that I can justify all the times I laughed at this. Yeah, she was a horrible person. The elephant was right to want revenge, and fuck anybody that says anything different. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in to this latest episode of BS with Brian Simpson. I will be I'm on the Burt tour this week. I'm on Fully Loaded this week. I've been looking forward to this too because I get to act like I'm 25 and invincible for the next 4 days. I'm going to be in. I think we're starting out in
Greenville,
South Carolina, then Bristol, Tennessee, then Lawrenceville, Georgia, then Brandon, Mississippi. That's the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th. In fact, I'm leaving here right now to go get on a plane. Right now to go to Greenville. Damn, did I buy my plane tickets to the right place? Atlanta. Oh yeah, then Atlanta to Greenville. Okay, yeah. So that's what we're doing right now. Then the following week, I'm gonna be in Vegas with Rogan. That's gonna be dope. And that's the tickets we're trying to sell for right now. And then if you can't do either one of those things, the next tour date is, what's my next tour date, dude? Yeah, Hartford Funny Bone. That's gonna be on the July 15th and 16th. So holler at your boy. I'm all over the place this year. If you haven't had a chance to see me, I'll be there next year. But I'm gonna be around. Oh, that was such a shitty promo. Bullshit.